Chosen one, you were guided here for a reason. Not everyone was meant to receive this. This moment was written into your timeline before you were born. What if I told you someone you've already released is still spiritually feeding off your energy and you haven't noticed? You've sensed it in that inexplicable exhaustion at dawn, the undercurrent of anxiety that no therapy could touch, the way you wake in the night feeling watched though no one is near. Your experiences of spiritual claustrophobia were real, and now hidden mechanics will come into light. You are not imagining the cords that bind you. There really are forces siphoning your vitality. Today you will discover how soul ties formed in silence have kept you stuck, why obsession is not love but parasitism, and how to sever those bonds without drama or guilt. If this message already speaks to your soul, subscribe, like this video, and comment 77 below. Prepare yourself. The freedom you've yearned for is closer than you think, and the war for your energy has only just begun. Spiritual ties don't need proximity. A hushed echo stirred you awake before the dawn, a single phrase repeating in your mind like a soft drumbeat. They never left. In the half-light of your room, you sense a presence you thought long gone, as if a hand reached to the veil of sleep to brush against your heart. This momentary tingling, this electric curiosity, is the doorway into real awakening. It invites you to recognize that the soul knows no borders, and that those who haunted your past remain woven into the tapestry of your spirit. In that fragile space between dream and daybreak, you realize the journey you thought ended still courses through your veins. There have been mornings when you rose feeling heavy, as though you carried the weight of someone else's unfinished story. You've experienced days where sudden sadness fell upon you with no clear source, or moments when laughter felt muted by an invisible hand. Remember the times you glanced at your phone, certain a message awaited, only to find silence, and somehow felt disappointed anyway. In those hours, you questioned your own mind, wondered if you were imagining burdens that didn't belong to you. Yet now, you see that this confusion, this sensitivity, was your own awakening spirit sounding an alarm, begging you to listen. What if every pang of loneliness wasn't simply your own, but a chord struck between your soul and another's unfinished tune? In ancient times, priests knew that certain chords could bind more than wood and stone. They spoke of soul fetters in sacred texts. The prophet Ezekiel described spiritual chains that must be cast off before a heart can beat freely. Now you understand that your pattern of isolation and longing was not random, but orchestrated by unseen threads tying you to others' unmet needs. Your life has been guided by an unseen loom, weaving connection and calling you toward freedom. Subtle signs have always been your secret language. Those moments of deja vu when a stranger's glance felt like recognition, or that tingle of anticipation before a reunion you never planned. Perhaps you found repeated symbols in license plates or shop windows that mirrored your private thoughts. Or maybe a song drifted through the air at the exact moment you needed its message. These whispers were not mere coincidences, but coded signals affirming that your spirit was in dialogue with forces beyond sight. Each small miracle pointed you toward the truth. You were never truly alone, nor ever truly free until now. In the quiet moments when you followed your intuition, you found unexpected clarity. A sudden conviction that saying no to certain demands brought relief, or that stepping away from a draining relationship opened space for renewal. These were not random shifts in mood, but the gentle unfolding of your inner compass unlocking. Like Mary's quiet understanding in Luke 2, verse 19, she treasured all these things in her heart. You save these inklings, these gentle confirmings, until they formed a map. Now you see that your instincts were never faulty. They were beacons guiding you home. The deeper awareness grows until you realize that what lies beneath your social mask is an ancient identity waiting to be reclaimed. You are not merely who you've been told to be, but the echo of a lineage of truth seekers and boundary setters. Beneath the layers of habit and apology lies a soul that remembers its covenant with freedom. In reclaiming that identity, you chip away at the armor forged by others' expectations, revealing the archetypal lessons, like a hidden sculpture emerging from marble. This recovery is less about becoming someone new and more about unearthing who you've always been. And now comes the first activation. You feel a stirring of power when you name a boundary and hold it, a surge of relief when you release a hidden tie and let it drift away. You recognize that your sensitivity, once dismissed as weakness, is a conduit for spiritual discernment. Embrace that hunger for clarity, that yearning for wholeness, and step forward with intention. With each act of self-honoring, the cord that bound you loosened and your soul's melody emerges stronger. This is your permission to wield your wisdom, your empathy, and your truth as tools for liberation. Your arrival at this revelation was no accident. It was guided by threads woven long before your first breath. You were marked for this awakening, summoned to cut the unseen cords and step into sovereignty. Comment tether if you feel the weight of hidden attachments slipping from your shoulders, and share a moment when a long-held intuition led you to freedom. As you prepare to enter the next chapter, where divine justice and deeper empowerment await, hold this tension. The world you thought you knew trembles on the brink of transformation, and you stand at its center. And if you feel called to go even deeper, there's a sacred space reserved for our community, a private room where you receive full prophetic messages daily. Join our private membership through the link in the description and walk this path with us. The hidden pull of obsession, a whisper of unease first brushed against your spirit when you noticed how they lingered in your thoughts long after they'd gone. It began as a fleeting discomfort, an echo of a name in your mind at odd moments, a sudden tightness in your chest when a memory surfaced without warning. You chalked it up to nostalgia or stress, but beneath that rational layer simmered something more insidious. In that unsettling pause, you felt the first tremor of their presence, as though they had left a spiritual footprint on your soul. This was not the gentle pull of affection, but a subtle tug that hinted at an unseen tether, and for the first time you sensed that something, or someone, was determined to keep you bound. As that pull grew stronger, it carved lines of tension across your daily life. You found yourself replaying past conversations in quiet moments, dissecting each laugh and tone for hidden messages. A compliment they paid weeks ago would resurface in your mind, like a question begging for an answer, and you sensed blame in their absence as keenly as blame in their presence. This emotional pressure made you feel simultaneously exposed and manipulated, as if your very capacity to love and trust had been weaponized against you. Shame and confusion settled into your bones, whispering that perhaps you were the one at fault for allowing yourself to be caught in their current. Yet deep down you knew this force was not born of genuine care. Beneath these rising currents lies an architecture of hidden motives, energies, systems, or individuals reacting to what your awakening represents. Just as Israel faced the pressures of exile designed to dull a prophetic voice, you too have encountered barriers aimed at stifling your clarity and purpose. In the wilderness of your own becoming, these hidden structures erected walls of doubt and resistance around your heart. They conspired to keep you tethered to old patterns, to ensure that your potential would never threaten the cages of complacency they adored. Recognizing the spiritual landscape reveals that your struggle is not random, but part of a larger cosmic drama pitting your freedom against forces that fear the light you carry. Now, turn your gaze backward to see the repeating images you once dismissed, doors that slammed at your knock for opportunity, friendships that frayed just as you dared to speak your truth, life events that seemed to stall whenever you found momentum. These were not isolated misfortunes, but data points illuminated by hindsight, a constellation of sabotage and discouragement aligned perfectly to pull you off course. Each betrayal, each subtle betrayal of support, now appears as a deliberate pattern, a mosaic of resistance crafted to keep you small. In this new light, the past becomes a school of lessons rather than mere wounds, offering clarity where there was once only confusion. Then came the day when the disturbance turned tangible, a literal fog in your mind, a heaviness in the room, a hush that fell whenever you raised your voice in conviction. You felt the energetic interference firsthand, as if the very air around you thickened to choke your vision. Silent watchers seemed to lurk behind corners of your mental landscape, ready to pounce on any flicker of confidence. It was the moment spiritual sabotage stepped from the shadows into your awareness. You realized that their obsession was not benign attachment but a strategic siege, casting a veil over your light to extract the energy that sustained your purpose. In response to this assault, you may have retreated inward, softening your edges to blend back into safety. Perhaps you offered extra kindness, hoping they would yield, or force yourself into silence, praying the storm would pass. You might have rebelled in small ways, skipping a meeting, choosing solitude, breaking off communication. Yet each attempt at resistance felt fleeting, eclipsed by a persistent loop of longing and guilt. These reactions were not signs of personal weakness, but mirrors reflecting the cunning of force that thrived on your hesitation. They taught you how deeply you valued freedom, even as you wrestle with the instinct to shrink from conflict. But here is the turning point. Their obsessive pull is proof, not condemnation. It confirms that your light is too bright for the shadows they cultivate. Now, reclaim the voice they sought to drown. Recover the power they hope to diminish. Declare inwardly, "My spirit is sovereign. No cord shall hold me without my consent." Feel that fierce hum of prophecy reverberate through your chest as you retake the ground they coveted. You were born with frequency that resonates beyond their grasp, and by naming the prey that feeds on your energy, you dissolve its power and restore your dominion. You were entangled because you are powerful, and the more determined they were to bind you, the clearer your destiny became. Comment release if you're ready to loosen every cord and step into unshakable freedom. Share a moment when you first recognized the strange gravity pulling at your soul and chose instead to shine with clarity. And as you prepare to move into the next revelation, where divine strategies will align to fortify your field, hold fast to the knowledge that every obstacle overcome is a testament to the unstoppable force of your awakened spirit. And to every soul who supported with a super thanks, thank you. You are keeping this light alive for others who haven't found it yet. If you feel called to help this mission reach more chosen ones, tap the super thanks button below. Your energy supports these messages and helps them travel further. Your voice matters. Your belief matters. And your light is felt here. The cost of letting them stay. A sudden stillness settled in your chest when you realized that every morning felt heavier than the last, as if you carried an invisible weight that no distance could lift. In that moment, a quiet realization dawns. The ties you're allowed to linger have woven around your spirit like barbed wire, constricting breath and vision alike. This internal shift arrives gently, like the first light of dawn painting shadows in gold, yet carries a shock of clarity that what you believed was love was in fact a web of dependency. Your heart now recognizes that even ghostly chords, unseen by the eye, can shape the rhythm of your soul song, and until confront them, your melody remains muted. In the space where emotion meets memory, you begin to see the subtle code woven into everyday life. A skip heartbeat when their name appears on your phone, a sudden down in the joy at the mention of shared history, a sequence of repeated numbers that seem to trace the outlines of old attachments. Reality itself has been whispering in symbols you once missed, as if the universe handed you a sacred scroll that read, "Your freedom is blocked." Like the hidden geometry of a labyrinth, these signals map how their energy still encircles you, compelling your heart to beat in sync with theirs long after the ties were meant to be cut. Now, seeing with new eyes, you sense the divine mathematics behind your discomfort, primed for translation into liberation. Deep inside, your intuition sharpens and your boundaries bristle like electric fences when their presence, even in memory, approaches. Where once you faced days of foggy thoughts and inexplicable fatigue, you now feel the pulse of energy that marks the breach in your field. You notice how easy it once was to deviate from your path, how a single text could derail the confidence you spent years building. This intensification, once invisible, hums in harmony with your awakening. Every drained moment testifies that these soul ties are not static relics, but active currents pulling you away from your center. Recognizing this gives validation rather than fear. You are sensing truth, not illusion. On the outside, your world begins to mirror this internal battle. Conversations that once flowed now stall at awkward pauses. Opportunities arise only to wither in indecision, and friends seem to vanish when you most need encouragement. Even color seems dimmer, as though life itself hesitates at the edges of your vision. This external alignment reveals a divine architecture, reshaping your reality to match your spiritual condition. Doors close to bring you home, and walls rise to protect you from further drift. Each shift in circumstance is not random adversity, but a sacred echo of the ties you have yet to sever. The universe gently corralling you toward the final cut. A dream surfaces from the depths of memory. You stood at the edge of a forest, the trees whispering warnings in your mother tongue, their branches forming runes of freedom, if only you dared to step forward. At the time, you awoke unsettled, unsure of its meaning. Now, in full clarity, you recognize that vision as prophecy, a summons to release what binds, so that you may emerge into light. The forest hush becomes a symphony of wisdom, urging you to trust the call of your own soul. In that reactivated memory, the veil lifts. This moment is not novel but remembered, an echo of a covenant sealed before time began. With each insight, your future crystals into view. Not one you must build from scratch, but one you remember forging in your spirit long ago. The path ahead is not a blank canvas, but a relief map carved into your essence, waiting for the final brushstroke of your decision. You find yourself ready to stop asking permission from others, from destiny, even from your own doubt, and to step into your inheritance. In that realization, you hear the echo of Isaiah's promise that those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength, and you stand poised to claim the renewal that cuts every lingering cord. Now, feel the tide of power turning as you reclaim what was never meant to stay outside your sovereign will. Speak the decree that severs every ghostly thread, silent words that sound like thunder in your soul. I am free. With that utterance, you retrieve your voice, the one they muffled with expectation and regret. You recover the energy they siphoned with guilt and nostalgia. This reclamation is fierce, prophetic, a roar that shakes loose the dust of old bonds. Let this moment be the ignition of your full authority, the proof that the only chains you wear are the ones you haven't yet discarded. Revelation is an invitation to action, not a destination. The ties you allowed to stay were not love's loss, but lessons drawn in glowing ink across your heart. Points of pressure guiding you to the point of departure. Comment clarity if you feel the sting of old attachments loosening, and share a moment when you first sense their power slipping away. As you prepare to step into the next revelation, where divine justice and healing unite to fortify your field, hold this breath. The world you once knew dissolves in the wake of your freedom, and the true landscape of your destiny emerges in its place. The danger of letting them stay. Have you ever paused mid-stride and felt an invisible hand tug at your back, urging you to slow down? Even when every fiber of your being knows you must run forward. That moment is your sacred crossroads, where you realize that passivity has become the enemy of your destiny. No longer can you drift in the currents of their unresolved attachment, hoping that distance or goodwill will sever what binds you. You stand between two worlds, one ruled by the weight of old cords, the other calling you into uncharted freedom. The question you face now is not, will I move on, but will I allow anything to stand between me and the purpose that pulses through my veins? In seasons past, you surrendered your voice to keep the peace, handed over your energy to salvage broken trust, and muffled your passion to avoid discomfort. At the time, each concession seemed necessary, a small price for harmony. Yet those concessions were not tokens of love, but grist for a mill that ground your ambition into dust. Now you recognize that every moment you dimmed your light was training, not failure, a cruel apprenticeship in how far others would go to keep you tethered. It's time to retrieve what you relinquished. Speak the words that reclaim your kingdom. I call back my voice. I reclaim my presence. I restore my power. Let each declaration ring like the tolling of freedom's bell. You carry within you the keys to your own release, the fierce insight that sees through deceit, the empathic sensitivity that honors boundaries, the discerning memory of who you were before attachment claimed your thoughts, and the strength forged in the fires of betrayal. Others labeled these qualities too much, and in their discomfort, they bound you tighter. But these were never flaws. They were your spiritual signature, the codex of your purpose. Imagine them as scrolls of fire unfolding in your hands, or armor draped across your shoulders, shielding you against every siphon of your brilliance. It is time to name and wield these tools, not as abstract ideals, but as living weapons in a war for your soul. Feel the earth beneath your feet pulse with recognition. The path ahead is no distant quest, but road already laid underfoot by forces beyond sight. With each intentional step, choosing to speak truth, clarify your intentions, honoring your boundaries, you activate the map of your destiny. The ground you claim becomes less about discovering direction and more about solidifying what was always yours to walk. Picture your mission as a grand caravan moving through desert dunes. You do not search for the oasis. You follow the water's song beneath the sand. Action itself reveals each waypoint, and clarity blooms with every conscientious choice. Lift your gaze beyond the horizon and see that you are not the lone traveler you once imagined. All around the globe, soul tribes stir, like stars aligning in constellations of purpose, each soul awakening to the same call that echoes through your heart. These are the kindred spirits who will not dim their light for convenience, who form divine clusters of resilience and revelation. Their collective rising is the affirmation that the old structures are collapsing, and in their ruins, a new order of unity and justice emerges. Release the need to shrink for comfort's sake. Your radiance draws these allies, and together you form an unstoppable movement toward the light. Now, embrace the sacred mantle of energetic command, not as an egotist, but as a steward of divine intention. In Deuteronomy 32, verse 12, we read of God's eagle wings guarding his people. Today you take those wings upon yourself, setting boundaries that become outstretched shields. Every yes you speak transforms into an offering of devotion. Every no becomes protective wall around your sanctity. Each choice is part of a ceremony of alignment, consecrating you as a guardian of your own field. Feel the weight and the honor of this entrustment, for you have been chosen to steward forces that ripple far beyond your immediate sight. All the fear you have faced, the betrayals you have endured, and the doubts that once threatened to drown you have led to this crescendo. Now stand in the center of your own making and hear the final charge. You are ready. Let these words resonate through your spirit as a trumpet blasts into eternity. No longer will hesitation chain you. No longer will uncertainty dictate your pace. You emerge in the crucible of trial unbroken, your resolve sharpened like Damascus steel. This is your moment to cross into the realm where prophecy becomes reality and vision becomes action. Your journey to this threshold was no accident. It was orchestrated by the current of divine timing to bring you here, fully prepared to step into your highest expression. This is not a gentle message, but a summons. Embody your truth with every breath. Comment boundary if you commit now to cutting every bond that opposes your purpose. And share a moment when you felt the surge of sovereignty return to your heart. As you utter these words and claim your freedom, brace yourself. The next revelation awaits, ready to unveil how the cosmos itself will bend to serve your awakened mission, cutting the cord without drama. You don't need to confront them face to face or unleash accusation. This is a spiritual act, a prayer of release offered to the unseen. Draw a deep breath and envision scissors of light, slicing every thread that binds your soul to theirs. Speak the decree. I release every cord that is not the highest good, and I reclaim my energy now. In Matthew 10, verse 14, you are taught to shake the dust off your feet. When a place rejects you, now shake free the residue their spirit left behind. Comment freedom if you felt the surge of relief after this interact. And prepare yourself for the whisper of peace that follows, a promise that the space you clear will not remain empty, but will fill with clarity, purpose, and divine provision. A vision drifted to your mind like a stray feather on the wind, an image of you standing at the edge of a broken chain, the links shimmering in dawn's first light before dissolving into mist. In that moment, you felt the gravity of every unseen bond that once weighed on your spirit, and you recognized that distance was never enough to sever what lives in the depths of the soul. The air around you hummed with a potent truth. Separation alone cannot free you from attachments born of memory and emotion. As the last fragment of chain evaporated, you felt a tremor of liberation pulse through your veins, confirming that freedom is not a place, but a state of being reclaimed within. This vision marks the awakening of your sovereignty, where every tether you release becomes proof that true emancipation springs from sacred choice, not mere circumstances. A whisper rose behind your ribs, soft but insistent, reminding you that what masquerades as steadfast devotion can mask the sharp teeth of obsession. You remember nights when concern turned to compulsion, when caring became consuming, and when affection braided into an invisible trap. Those tangled cords drew life from your own reserves, leaving your heart parched and your purpose dulled. Yet in naming this danger, you unearthed the alchemy hidden in awareness, the realization that love selflessly given never clings, and that healthy devotion celebrates freedom rather than demands possession. In this revelation, your soul discovered that every moment of healing begins when you refuse to mistake captivity for connection, and you embrace the truth that sacred love liberates both hearts. A faint echo of scripture lingered in your mind, the ancient cadence of Galatians 5, verse 1. It is for freedom that Christ has set us free. You felt those words reverberate not as distant doctrine, but as a living promise woven into your own skin. In seeing how soul ties thrive in the outskirts of your mind, you understood that release is not an act of aggression, but a ceremony of trust, a return to the covenant you first made with your own spirit. Each prayer of unbinding becomes a step in a divine dance, a rhythmic acknowledgement that you were crafted for autonomy, for walking unshackled across the terrain of your destiny. This deepening awareness transforms every ritual moment. from stillness and solitude to a whispered plea beneath moonlight, into a portal that transports you from bondage into brilliance. A memory surface awaking in a silent house, the clock's tick echoing louder than your pulse, and realizing that your heart had been set on repeat by another's unspoken demands. You saw how decisions you thought were yours bore the crescent shadow of their influence, how opportunities fizzled when their energy hovered too close. But as recognition bloomed, you felt the web of their frequency unraveling around your mind. In that unraveling came the revelation that clarity is not found in fighting the past, but in moving deliberately through the present, aligning your steps with the cadence of your own truth. This turning point revealed that action, not analysis, clears the path ahead, each deliberate choice cutting away the last strands of interference. In your waking hours, you began to sense a new architecture rising around you, an unseen framework of allies and opportunities responding to every liberated choice. Doors you once found locked now creaked open on hinges of possibility, and conversations that once stumbled found new life under the banner of authenticity. It was as if the cosmos itself adjusted its orbit to accommodate the gravitational pull of your renewed purpose. You realized that your frequency, once dampened by lingering attachments, now sent ripples to the collective field, beckoning those attuned to your vision to come forward. This external alignment serves as divine confirmation that your internal sovereignty extends beyond your own horizon, shaping the world in harmony with your awakened soul. A gentle prophecy seemed to drift through your thoughts, an inner voice promising that every breath you now claim will feed your destiny, not their demands. You felt the weight of untold generations lifting as you honored your boundary, as if ancestral chains shattered in your wake. The power to steward your own energy settled on your shoulders like a mantle of stars, reminding you that your life is the vessel through which divine intention flows. With this sacred charge, you stand not as a victim of circumstance, but as a vessel of purpose, entrusted to carry forward the light that distortion sought to drown. In that moment, you sense that the true miracle is not the breaking of bonds, but the emergence of your fullest self, fully empowered to shine. A slow crescendo built beneath your ribs, urging you toward a final, resolute declaration. I stand unbound. This affirmation reverberated through every cell, dispersing the last shadows of doubt and sealing your transformation from reaction into authority. You felt an unshakable conviction that nothing outside you can define your worth or command your path. As you stepped into this moment, the fabric of your reality shifted, inviting every promise uttered in hushed prayers to materialize in substance. You have crossed the threshold from being shaped by external forces to sculpting your own destiny, guided by the unwavering North Star of your soul's calling. This is not the end of revelation, but the prologue to your legacy. Your life, once tangled in cord of expectation and desire, now unfolds as a testament to the power of chosen freedom. Each liberated breath you take sends ripples through eternity, a living testament to the truth that the chosen one is one who refuses to be tamed by shadows. Comment sovereignty if you accept the summons to stand unbound, and share a moment when you felt the weight of invisible ties slipping away. As you embrace this calling, prepare for the next chapter, where the strategies of your soul's alignment will converge in a grand symphony, guiding you further into full expression of your divine mission. A vision unfurls like dawn across your mind's horizon, a scroll of amberlight, each line inked with your stories unfolding. The final chapter isn't coming. It has already begun in the opening strokes of your prologue. Your life, once woven with threads of others' expectations, now unbinds itself into patterns of sovereignty. Feel the texture of those old cords slipping through your fingers, unraveling the scripts you never auditioned for. In their place, a new manuscript writes itself in the marrow of your bones, a testament to the power of chosen freedom. Each liberated breath you take pulses outward, distending the borders of time itself. This is not the end of revelation, but the prologue to your legacy. A memory surfaces of you seated at a banquet of demands, plates piled high with shoulds and cups brimming with musts. You tried to dine politely, swallowing obligations until your spirit felt clogged. Then, at an invisible signal, you set down your fork and rose from the table, not out of spite but necessity. That single movement echoed like a gong, shattering invisible chains. Your freedom is non-negotiable. Subscribe if you haven't yet, like this video, and comment, I am chosen, to let this message anchor in your soul. Share it with someone who needs to hear this. For full prophetic revelations daily, join the membership via the link in the description. Your spiritual path deserves more than fragments. Step into the full light. And if this message moved you deeply, consider tapping the Super Thanks button to support the mission. Every Super Thanks fuels a light we're spreading together. Walk free, chosen one. The war for your energy has become your victory.